Okay, so here let's talk about domain and range of sine and cosine functions. As we mentioned, they are functions. They depend on the angle t. So sine of t equals some number. We'll call it a. Well, actually, let's call it a y because it's a y coordinate. That's appropriate. So this is your input of this function, input. So you input an angle, and y is going to be your output. Now with cosine functions, again, you input an angle, and the output will be the corresponding x-coordinate of that angle, right? So these are functions where you input an angle and it spits out your coordinate, corresponding coordinate on the unit circle. Okay, so question, and we also call our input values our domain and our output values range. So let's talk about what kind of values can go in and what kind of values we expect this function to spit out. Um, well, since we're putting in an angle, and we already talked about different angles like 0, you know, uh, 30, 45, 60, 90, 180, and so forth. And we can continue spinning this around, adding 360s as many times as we want, right? So it goes, I would argue that it goes into positive infinity. What about negative values? Yeah, we can have negative angles, right? Going in this direction. And again, we could add on the spins or subtract out spins rather into all the way into negative infinity. So the domain for for the sine function would be from negative infinity to a negative infinity. So angle could be any angle, right? What about the range? Range. So we said that basically our point is going on the circumference, right? So it doesn't, and the sine is the y value. So what's the lowest y value and what's the highest y value? So it doesn't go beyond the circle, right? It goes on, the point is going on and on and on and on this circumference. So it never goes below -1 and it never goes above +1. So the range for the sine would be from -1 to 1, and we're including the endpoints. So we're using the square brackets to show that we include those endpoints. What about the cosine function? Well, it's the same. Domain could be any angle from negative infinity to positive infinity. But for the range, we have from -1 to +1 again, because cosine function spits out the x value on the point on the circle. So it's never less than -1 and it's never greater than +1. So it's always in this range right here. So that's it, guys, for the domain and range of sine and cosine functions.